Troy Shelby with the Rant Reloaded. Right now we're at the Right to Life Committee offices for an interview with Governor candidate, New Mexico Governor candidate Ethel Maharg, who will be joining us shortly. So we'll get started here in a few minutes. Thank you for watching. This is Troy Shelby with the Rant Reloaded. I know you don't see me on camera right now. I'm here with Mrs. Ethel Maharg. She is the candidate for New Mexico governor. Also, you're the director here at the Right to Life committee.
Yes, executive director, Right to Life.
Executive director. Well, that sounds even more impressive. Welcome to the show. I'm proud to have you here. I've had a chance to talk with you a couple of times, and you're a great lady. I do apologize about the events out there at the Saturday event that we did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't get any audio on there, so that entire interview was unfortunately a bust. But so I wanted to follow up with you, get back with you, and
Okay.
bring you on the air and give you an opportunity to rehash that, bring up anything
Okay.
new, what have you. So let's start with the fact that yes, you are running for governor against current Governor Lujan Grisham.
Correct.
Let me ask you, what at what point? Obviously, a lot of those of us who are conservative agree Lujan Grisham needs to go.
Yes.
But what are the driving forces behind your campaign on that?
Well, the biggest of which is life. You know, I am the executive director of Right to Life, plus I worked for CareNet Pregnancy Centers for 5 years before that. So I have been fighting for life for a really long time, and I've seen that that New Mexico and New Mexicans are really pro-life. And I know because I have documentation that I received when in 2019 we defeated the bill HB 51, and the governor had asked everyone to call in and let her know how they felt about HB 51, about the abortion and assisted suicide. I don't think she really wanted to know. She's just getting information so she could do a photo op with her side. So, but New Mexico got together and they made the phones ring in Santa Fe, and from those phone calls that she requested, 10,000 calls came in, and over 98%, and I always stress over 98% of those that came in were against abortion and assisted suicide. And people asked me, how do you know? I said, I have the document. I'm the one that made the request. So I know that New Mexicans are pro-life. They don't want abortion in our state. They don't want assisted suicide in our state. We're a very conservative state. We do have pockets of liberalism, I understand that. But for the most part, people want life in our state. And so that is basically my biggest driving force to run for governor, because I want to see this end. But I have the experience to get it done, because that's not the only thing I've done. I've been the mayor of the village of Cuba for 10 years prior, a few years back. And so I have the executive experience to get it done. I've created jobs, I've done economic development, I've had a small business, I've run banks, I've taught school. I have a wealth of experience, and I've done a lot of sales, and I build teams. I coordinated the Convoy of Hope here in Albuquerque that brought millions of dollars to the city. So I know how to get things done. So and I believe that I'm a really good bridge builder. I don't go about fighting with people because that's kind of pointless. So,
Well,
yeah.
Speaking of experience in getting things done, among those experiences was pretty much being thrown into position in law enforcement as well, was it not?
It was. Yeah, when I was mayor of Cuba, I was opposed on most everything, especially in my last term, and they would not let me hire a chief. My chief position became vacant, and they decided that they were going to oppose me on that. So basically the same thing that's going on today, defund the police. So I said, fine, I know the law, and the law states that in the absence of a chief, the mayor will be the chief. And so I said, bring me the keys to the car. And that night I took the police car home and I drove it around town for about a month. until they figured that I was not going to bend. And so they were, yeah, so I got a chief after that, about a month. So, yes, and I'm for police. I'm absolutely for our police forces. I feel terrible about what's been done to them. And so I do everything that I can to stand for them in every platform. So, like I said, we need our police. It's rather foolish to think that you could send social workers out, especially like in a domestic violence situation. There'll be a lot of dead people. So
I have to agree with you
yeah,
on that.
yeah,
Obviously we have the right to life. We have the pro law enforcement. New Mexico tends to have a lot of gun sanctuary cities in New Mexico. As I understand, you're a supporter of the Second Amendment rights as well.
absolutely. Yes, I just went to the gun show and talked to people there. Absolutely, and you know, I'm from a small town, and you know, there they needed it for hunting. You know, for some of their food, people use it for their food. But the Second Amendment is much more than that. It is about protecting our freedoms. It was the Second Amendment because it came after the right of free speech and all these other things. So the thing is that the Second Amendment is there to protect our rights. And you see what's happened in Australia. When they got their guns, they got the people. And so they are not going to attack us because we have guns. So they're doing everything that they can so that they can take our guns, because they know that then when we're defenseless, then they can control us.
Right.
So I'm definitely for protecting our rights through bearing arms.
And thus giving us the power to protect our freedoms, including
Absolutely.
our freedom to give life.
That's
So,
right. That's right. I heard a speaker say one day, he says, "We love life so much that we're willing to defend even your rights by bearing arms." So
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a very valid, in-depth statement there. What kind, as stands, if elected, what kind of what where do you see? How do you see New Mexico altering under your leadership, as far as the political climate, the way things are with the constant lockdown, the masking, and all that?
Well, for one, that would end because it's just, I believe with all my heart. Well, I saw it from day one. My husband was in the hospital when this was going on, and I said, wow, I can see exactly what this is about. And it has not been for our safety, not one bit. And I'll say this, that I understand there is a virus and it's dangerous. I have friends who have lost family members, and I agree with them, and that's not it. There is a virus, but it was unleashed on us, and the whole purpose of that was to control us. It's been to separate us, to lock us down so that we cannot communicate. You see what they did with the churches. They shut down the churches, which had the biggest influence, and thank God the Supreme Court stepped in and said that's unconstitutional. So now
Yes.
churches can gather again, right? But you see, last year, we defeated a bill in 2019, but in 2020, what they did is they locked us out of our house in Santa Fe, put chain link fence up to the sidewalk. I was there. And so they didn't want us in there because they couldn't take the pressure, because they knew that we were gathering and there was a lot of pressure to be had. So, they passed bills because we weren't there. In fact, I understand they weren't even there. They were doing all their calls through Zoom. I know of a staffer, she told me, she says none of them were there. There was no phone calls that were going to be taken. So there was no documentation of the calls that we made inside. So just totally wrong. And so the whole point of this is COVID has been used as a means to protect us. And now they've gone to the Delta, and I heard there's a new one now. And they're just going to keep making up names so that they can continue to keep us suppressed.
Right.
You see those billboards. I hate those flashing signs that,
Yeah, they are a little bit annoying, and
Yeah.
then there's also the thing of, well, you got the 2 shots, but you can still catch it, you can still pass it on, but you need to get a 3rd shot
Yeah.
because now you're more susceptible to this new strain.
Oh.
Well, if I can still catch it, still pass it on, and I'm more susceptible, what the hell did you shoot me up with to start with?
I know, exactly. You guys don't know what you're doing. And there's side effects, proven side effects, and don't want to go in there. And I'm for freedom for people to go ahead and, you know what, if you feel like you want to take the vaccine, by all means do it. You want to
Right.
put the mask on, do it. I'm not here to tell you no, but what I'm definitely afraid of is for the government to say, you must take this.
Right.
And it is for your safety. And we all know good and well that it is not for our safety. It is for control of the people. And so I would definitely get rid of all those, that because it's unwarranted. It is unwarranted. You do not quarantine the well. Quarantine those who are sick.
Right. Well, and also I think history, bubonic plague,
Yeah.
black plague, shows that the easiest way to cure a society of a contagion is by what they call herd immunity.
Exactly.
So if you're keeping it away from everybody, you're just keeping everybody susceptible to it. So.
Well, it's just to me very odd that they have pressed this one. This is the one they pressed so much.
Right.
I mean the flu. Wow, the flu was cured, I guess, with COVID because you don't even hear about the flu shot.
Right.
All these other things that were so deadly just a decade ago, you never heard that they would press the vaccine. But this is not about safety or health. It's about control. So.
Agreed. I can agree with that. So, if I might ask, this is not something that's really been covered, but New Mexico itself has seen a substantial rise in its homeless rate within the last couple of years, especially under COVID and whatnot. We've got veterans living on the street. We've got tent communities popping up, not only in Albuquerque, but all over the state. What would be a way as governor that you would address this growing homeless crisis in order to bring New Mexico back into a kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, peaceful coexistence where we don't have the drug needles laying out on the street and whatnot?
Well, Troy, you know what? All of this is by design. It's all meant to keep people suppressed. The drugs so that you can be on assistance from the government. The homelessness, they I'm sure can get assistance. And it is all to keep us beholding to Aunt Grisham.
Right.
I was going to say Uncle Sam. But that's exactly what it's meant to do, is to keep them suppressed, to keep the people down so that they will say, oh my gosh, the government will save me. Well, the government's not going to save us, all right? So we need to find a way to help these people get off of where they're at and to get them the help that they need. That's something, it's a huge problem, and I really have to look further into that, Troy, because we've gone to give, actually my daughters and I, and our grandkids, we went and gave them food one Thanksgiving ago, and to just help feed them. But, you want to be compassionate, but at the same time, we need to understand that all of this, the homelessness, the welfare system, the drugs in our state are all by design, and it is meant to keep the people suppressed so that they are indebted to the government. So that's the one thing, is we need to change that. We need to help them become productive citizens again.
Definitely. So, one last question, then I'll get on to a different. I'd like to get on to what exactly it is you do here. But obviously, Afghanistan is really big in the current news
Right.
with refugees being shipped out. I know a lot of states have opened their doors to refugees. Come on in, do your thing. What's your stance on that? Whether they claim to be doing proper vetting or not? What's your stance on bringing refugees into New Mexico?
Well, I just was listening to Congresswoman Yvette Harrell, and they're not vetting them. They're bringing them across the border. In fact, they're staying at Air Force bases, Canada, all these different bases. And the saddest thing is that these people, you can't fault them. They want to be free. I don't blame them. We live in the best country in the world, right? But they bring them here. They are not vetted. They did find some of those criminals that came across, some
A
terrorists, and
100
they,
plus on the terrorist watch list.
yes,
if I
already
remember.
here. So they're coming here. What we need to do, I personally believe, we need to close the border and not let anybody in. But when they're here, of course, we need to be good humanitarians and feed people. But we need to understand this, that the Afghanistan refugees are coming here. They are not being they're not required to be COVID tested, and they're not even they don't even have to wear masks. They don't have to be vaccinated. All the things that they're demanding of the U.S. citizens, that doesn't apply to them. And they are also there on these bases, and they can leave at any time. And if they leave, they're not allowed to come back. So where do they go? They're going into our communities. They're not safe. It's not fair to them, and it is not fair to those citizens in the nearby communities that are being affected by this. So like I said, initially, I've said, the rise in COVID, and they started this by allowing so many, they just opened the borders so that they can bring them in here. And my understanding is that there were 800 undocumented, and I don't know, it was before the Afghanistan refugees, 800 undocumented, unaccompanied minors that came here. 600 of them had COVID. So where'd the rise come from?
Right.
The border. So we need to secure the border. We need to stop that.
So if you're elected, you'd be willing to allow ICE to actually come in and do their jobs,
Yes.
even using the New Mexico National Guard if necessary, in order to
I'm
accomplish
sure it's
that?
necessary already. Yes, absolutely, yes. Yes. Yeah, the governor should have done that. But she's not interested in our safety. They have a total other agenda, and it has nothing to do with taking care of the American public or New Mexicans.
Right.
It's about destroying the state so that they can remain, retain power. And so we need to do everything that we can to take it back.
Agreed. Agreed. Definitely. That's hopefully the plan for this year. I
Yes.
think it's been 90 years since we've held
Yes.
the governor's office. So.
Yeah.
So
Or the majority, yeah.
So your platform being the right to life, that's the platform that you're running on, and we're here at your executive director here at the Right to Life Committee. How about telling us a little bit about the Right to Life Committee here?
Well, what we do is we provide education for people whenever anything's happening in the communities. We do that by, right now we have billboards out. You may have heard that about the flare that took place throughout the entire community. That has never happened. So we are building chapters throughout the entire state and bringing awareness to people about life and the issues that are taking place. You see, New Mexico, we're predominantly Hispanic. Well, we are one of the target groups for Planned Parenthood. So, I mean, I'm just reading an article that they're working, especially with this Texas ban, Texas law that just passed. They are definitely targeting the Hispanic community. So we're making people aware of what it is that's going on. And so we educate people about those things. We also got yard signs that we're passing on to everybody. In fact, I was just looking at the cases that we have here, and I'm asking people, please come get some. They don't do us any good sitting in our offices here. We have them in English, Spanish, and now in Navajo. So we're really excited about that. And what we're doing is bringing respect back to life. And so that's our hope, is that people will begin to honor life once again.
So to those that are, do you offer any particular services to those that are considering abortion or?
You know what, we do not deal with clients. We deal pretty much with education pieces, but because I was connected with the CareNet pregnancy centers, I always have their ear, or I just got them on speed dial, so I can always connect them. CareNet, Project Defending Life, Dominique over there, just love those people. So if ever anybody calls or needing help, I can do that. The greatest thing about that, my experience there, is that I have been able to walk people through what they're going through. So I've been able to be on the phone with people that are suffering crisis, or there'd be a young girl at the abortion clinic and they needed to know what to do. I would be able to help them. I'll get on one line, texting on another line, helping to get the help that people need. So we do that. So I'm glad for that experience. But I also want you to know that Legislatively, we also work to, in fact, right now, we put out a survey to all the mayoral candidates, the school board candidates, and all them, to see where they stand on life, because, trust me, it affects everything.
It does.
Because when a school board member is in there, if they're not pro-life, they can allow the other agenda. Planned Parenthood is in the schools. Why cannot the life groups be in the schools? They keep them at bay. I know. We tried to
Right.
get in there. So the thing is that we vet candidates to see if they're pro-life or not, because it makes a difference. So we got one already. We've gotten a couple back that are definitely pro-life, and so we're going to be putting that out here real soon.
Nice. Well, I'm don't want to take up all of your day. I know you're busy. You're getting ready to go on the campaign trail, I
Yeah.
believe. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers before we just take your time, do however long you need to say what you feel needs to be said to them?
I just want for us to return to the values that made this country the envy of the world, and that is biblical values, honoring our Constitution, honoring God and family, and honoring life above all. I continually say that we have been endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And without life, everything else is irrelevant. So, I could fix the economy, I could fix schools, I can fix all these other things. I have the experience to do all that. But when it comes down to that, I have to ask the question, for who?
For who? Definitely.
Because if we are killing, murdering, and I'm getting away from even abortion. It's like, let's call it what it is. It's plain old murder. Whether it be in the womb or helping people die from assisted suicide, that's just murder.
Yes.
And it needs to stop in our state. We need to build the foundation. That's what I'm running. And my campaign's a little different. I have the experience to get the rest done, and I will. But we cannot get it done until we get our priorities straight. It's like, come on, New Mexico, let's get it right for once. Let's get it in order first, and then we can prosper.
Definitely, definitely. Well, Ms. Maharg, I wish you the best of luck on the campaign trail and in the upcoming campaign and preliminaries. So, and I also want to thank you again for allowing us this opportunity to come in and have a conversation with you today.
Thank you so much, Tori. I appreciate it.
We're happy to have you on the show anytime.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.